My childhood best friend betrayed me for the man who abused me. So I exposed their secrets and unleashed a storm, crushed the illusion they built. I am 23 years old and ended my relationship with my ex, who is 31, about 1 year ago. Our relationship lasted 3 years, and we lived together for 2 years and a few months in his city, surrounded by his entire family. Things were far from good, neither with him nor with his family. I won't delve deeply into the details of those 2 long, agonizing years, during which I stopped being myself and became a mere shadow of the person I once was. Somehow I managed to escape that abusive relationship, one in which his parents, sisters, and brothers all played a part. When 7 people repeatedly told me I was to blame for the situation and deserved what happened, I believed them. That's not the main focus here, just a brief background to set the stage for what happened next. 2 days ago, my ex's new girlfriend, who I estimate to be 21 or 22 based on her Instagram profile, contacted me. She noticed that my secondary account, active for about 3 years, was still following my ex. She began sending me nasty messages filled with harsh, hurtful words I won't repeat. I hadn't sought her out or even known she existed. When I left my ex, I blocked him from all my social media accounts, except, apparently, that one secondary account. I don't even remember the password for it, and I rarely used it. If I had known about her, I probably wouldn't have reached out, and she likely wouldn't have believed me, just as she doesn't now. I didn't engage with her taunts or respond to her insults. Instead, I felt compelled to warn her to get out of that relationship. I don't know what story they told her about me, and at this point, I don't care much. I'm just grateful I escaped that toxic environment and am free from the suffocating grip of my ex and his family. She started sending me audio messages, which I didn't listen to. The sound of her voice, filled with anger and accusation, felt like an echo of the past I'd worked so hard to leave behind. I simply repeated that, for her own sake, she should leave the relationship. It might seem wonderful now, with my ex's charming smiles and promises, but soon she'd find herself working to support them financially, doing all the housework, and caring for my ex, his father, and his brothers simply because they are men. I also cautioned her not to fall for my ex's carefully crafted facade. He's not a good person. He knows how to lie, manipulate, and make your life a living hell while keeping you tethered to him with guilt and false affection. I told her he would turn abusive, just as he had with me. She didn't seem to want to hear anything I said, dismissing my warnings as jealousy or spite, but I hope my words will someday resonate with her for her sake, before she finds herself trapped as I once was. My best friend, whom I'll call Betty for anonymity, was with me when this happened. We were meeting another friend at a cozy cafe, and they didn't say much at first, more focused on their coffee and lighthearted gossip about mutual acquaintances. When I mentioned that I had warned the new girlfriend, Betty's expression changed. She seemed annoyed, her lips tightening, and she said I shouldn't have done it. Shockingly, she even appeared to defend my ex, suggesting he might not be as bad as I made him out to be. Betty knows the entire story, every tear, every bruise, every moment of despair, so I was stunned and asked her why she felt this way. She started saying I needed to learn to forgive and let go, that holding on to the past was only hurting me. My other friend nodded in agreement, leaving me feeling isolated and confused. Since then, Betty has stopped talking to me. I'm bewildered by her reaction because she was there to pick me up every time I was broken, holding me as I cried and helping me rebuild my shattered confidence. She knows how that relationship affected me and continues to haunt me. Yet, she suggested I forgive and forget, as if my pain could be erased with a simple act of will. Through my other friend, I learned Betty called me resentful and claimed I warned the girlfriend because I still love my ex. I asked Betty directly for an explanation, but she completely ignored me, leaving my messages unread and my calls unanswered. Betty and I have been friends since we were children, sharing secrets, dreams, and countless memories. She was there when I escaped that relationship, helping me see the truth through the fog of manipulation. This behavior is unlike her, and it cuts deeply. I don't know if I was wrong to warn my ex's girlfriend or if something else is going on. I don't understand why she defends him now, why she says those things, or why she ignores me. I'm unsure if I can forgive her for this betrayal, which feels as raw as the wounds my ex inflicted. I don't know what to do. Does anyone have any idea why she reacted this way? Was I truly wrong to advise my ex's girlfriend, or is there something deeper at play? I need to get this off my chest because I feel not only anger but also like I'm slipping back into that dark, suffocating place because of Betty's actions. I feel the guilt again, the weight of self-doubt that I thought I'd left behind. English isn't my first language, and I'm nervous, so please bear with me. Some people ask me to update privately about what happened, and though this feels more like venting than a proper update, I'll share it for those unaware. I posted asking for help because I didn't understand Betty's reaction when I warned my ex's girlfriend to stay away from him. Less than a day later, I discovered the unthinkable. Betty was sleeping with my ex. This revelation explains why she defended him, but it shattered my heart in ways I can't fully describe. Things escalated quickly, like a storm I couldn't outrun. Betty kept trying to contact me, sending messages and calling relentlessly. I blocked her everywhere, phone, social media, everything, to protect my fragile peace. But she showed up at my family's house, where I was staying that night because I needed my mom's comforting presence. My mom, fierce and protective, yelled at her to leave or she'd call the police. Betty even posted about our conflict on Reddit, airing our private pain for strangers to dissect. Someone I know, let's call them Jay, you owe me a beer, found the post, shared it with our friends, and started replying to messages, turning my personal turmoil into a public spectacle. I'm summarizing a lot and it may not make sense, but everything went downhill fast, like a car careening off a cliff. Betty's boyfriend eventually found out, not through Reddit, but because Betty gave him a suspicious story about our argument. He checked her phone, suspecting an affair. He admitted he'd been looking for an excuse because he knew she was lying, her words not adding up. He decided to leave her after dealing with her dishonesty for so long. I know Betty isn't the most honest person. Her flaws were always there like cracks in a mirror. But I thought her good qualities, her laughter, her loyalty outweighed them. I was wrong. Her boyfriend found messages between her and my ex about me, intimate details that made my stomach churn. I can understand, though not condone, why she'd sleep with him if she lacked morals. But I can't fathom why she'd share my photos with him, discuss how I'm doing, what I do, where I go. I couldn't keep reading their conversation because it made me feel physically sick, as if my privacy had been violated all over again. I've done everything to distance myself from my ex, blocking him, cutting off mutual friends, changing my phone number, even cutting and dyeing my hair to feel like a new person. Betty threw all that away, exposing me to the very danger I'd fought so hard to escape. Yesterday, after a long day at work, I decided I deserved a nice bottle of red wine to unwind. When I got home, Betty was there, screaming, crying, and banging on my door. Her voice was frantic, desperate, but I felt no sympathy, only exhaustion. I told her to leave, or I'd call the police, as I didn't want to hear her excuses. She ignored me, pounding harder, so I called the police and my mom. She kept yelling that if I ignored her, she'd make me listen the hard way. She claimed I deserved what she did, that I was ruining her life, and that I had to forgive her. For me, she dug her own grave with those words. I can handle empty threats, and I can even cope with the insecurity of knowing my ex could find me again. I'll survive as I always have through sheer stubbornness and the love of those who truly care. But then, in front of the police and my mom, she said I deserved what my ex did to me, that it was my fault because I must have done something wrong. She claimed he was different with her, kinder, softer, and even cried for me when she showed him my photos, as if that somehow justified her betrayal. Her words might sound trivial to some, but to me, they were devastating. After years in therapy, blaming myself for the abuse, feeling inadequate, dirty, and unlovable, her words were like a knife reopening a wound that was just beginning to heal. She knew how I felt, knew the depths of my pain, and used it against me with cruel precision. I just got out of the police station, waiting for the complaint to be processed. I don't want to get entangled in legal matters if it might complicate things, but I'm lucky to have witnesses, support, and my family's unwavering love. I'm hiring a good lawyer. Well, my stepfather, who works in the justice system and knows far more about this than I do, is handling it with his usual calm efficiency. I needed to vent before work, to pour out the chaos in my heart before facing the day. A long, mentally exhausting process is starting, especially since my ex is involved. I would have let things go, content to rebuild in silence, but I can't keep taking other people's abuse. Maybe I gave the impression that my ex could step on me without consequences, that I was too broken to fight back. But messing with my best friend and harassing me was the last straw, the spark that ignited my resolve. To Betty and my ex, if Jay shares this post again, I hope you feel a fraction of the pain I've endured. You said I'd forgive and forget because I'm too good, too soft. There's no forgiveness here anymore. They hurt me in the worst way, and I'll defend myself legally, regardless of the damage it causes them. I don't care about ruining their lives or careers, not when I no longer feel safe in my own home, my sanctuary violated by their actions. I should have acted when I left that hell, but I didn't have the strength then, too drained by the weight of survival. Now I do, and fortunately or unfortunately, I have the rage to follow through, a fire that burns brighter with every injustice. I'm angry, betrayed, and hurt, but I know I don't deserve this. I'm not alone. It'll be a hard road, but I have therapy, an amazing family, and friends who didn't hesitate to cut Betty off when the truth came out. I'm fine, or at least I will be, as long as I have myself and the courage to keep going. Thank you for the private messages, comments, and concern from strangers who've become a lifeline. Your advice and support warmed my heart, reminding me that kindness exists even in the darkest moments. I'm off to work, but my heart is racing with so much on my mind. Anger, fear, but also a stubborn hope. I hope I can soon say it's all over, though the legal process will take time, dragging out the pain like a slow poison. Much love and health to all who've read this far. I didn't mention earlier, but my ex was an abuser, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. I won't share the full details as they're too raw, too heavy to unpack here, but know that his actions left scars that still ache, even on my strongest days. I want to clarify a couple of things people asked about, as your questions have helped me process this chaos. If I have such a wonderful family, why didn't they help me escape? They didn't know. My mom was frantic, ready to drive 2 days to find out why I ignored most calls or didn't come home for vacations. I only visited for 2 weeks early in the relationship, when my ex's charm still masked his true nature. Mom calls me Miss Independent because asking for help isn't something I usually do, a habit born of pride and fear of burdening others. But I'm learning to lean on those who love me, to trust that they want to help. Why was my last update deleted? It wasn't Reddit. I deleted it on my lawyer's advice due to the ongoing legal processes. I waited to post this, wanting to be sure I could share without jeopardizing my case. Now, the latest update and, I hope, the end of this ordeal. My grandmother tried to be supportive and took Betty in, not literally, but they grew close, bonding over their shared discontent. Someone commented that misery loves company, and that phrase stuck with me, a bitter truth. I've had no direct contact with Betty or my grandmother, only hearing updates through my mom when she speaks with them, which is rare. Betty decided not to go through with her pregnancy after her parents intervened, a decision I learned about secondhand. She was taken away a couple of days ago back to her hometown, and my grandmother is trying to talk to me, but I'm too emotionally drained to deal with her. The thought of facing her sympathy or worse, her judgment, makes my chest tighten. Knowing my ex knew my whereabouts, work schedule, and appearance from Betty has left me paranoid, even with therapy. Every unexpected noise, every shadow feels like a threat, a reminder of the danger I thought I'd escaped. I was right not to share too much about the abuse earlier, guarding those wounds like fragile glass. People asked what happened, what he did, but I don't want to delve into it now. I've managed to sleep 9 full hours thanks to medication, a small victory that feels monumental. I feel good enough not to ruin it by revisiting the darkest moments. I fled my ex's house with only the essentials, my phone, my wallet, my life hanging by a thread. All my belongings, clothes, computer, books, and the few family photos I'd brought were burned, destroyed in a fit of his rage. Mom says more was lost in the war in Cuba, her way of reminding me that material things pale next to survival. She's right. I regret not calling her when I was in trouble, when I was too ashamed to admit I'd fallen so far. But therapy is helping me forgive myself, teaching me that I'm not defined by my mistakes. Some days I still feel an irrational hatred toward myself, a voice whispering that I should have been stronger, smarter, but as my therapist says, one step at a time, one breath at a time. I'm updating because it's over, truly over. My ex was found dead of a cocaine overdose on Thursday. Whether I'm a bad person or not, I feel only relief, pure, unadulterated relief. No more looking over my shoulder, no more stomach-turning fear when the doorbell rings, no more dread that he'll find me. I can't feel anything negative about his death, and I've made peace with that. It's okay because it absolutely frees me. I thank life over and over because it's done, a chapter closed with a finality I never dared hope for. I can't describe the feeling of writing this, the weight lifting from my chest, the air feeling lighter. It's been absolute rubbish since this started, the pain they caused, the harm they did, the way they tried to break me. But it's over, he's gone, and I'm still here. My ex's mother tried to contact me about attending the funeral. I refused. She apologized for what she allowed and did to me, her voice trembling through the message. But her words felt hollow, too late to undo the damage. I texted her that I don't accept her apology, don't want her in my life, and never want to hear from her again. I loved her so much when my ex was abusing us both, when we were allies in our shared suffering, but she turned on me near the end, her betrayal nearly costing me my life. I don't want any more of that pain, that connection to a past I'm fighting to leave behind. I blocked her too, severing the last tie to that family. All I have for them is a wish that they face the consequences of their actions, whatever form that takes. The future me will deal with the anger that still simmers, the flashes of rage that catch me off guard. But right now, I want to heal, to focus on my family, my work, my studies. My mom and stepdad gave me funds to return to school, proud of my progress, and refuse to hear my protests about being a burden. They see my strength, even when I doubt it myself. I miss Betty, a dull ache that lingers despite her betrayal. She was like a sister, and losing her hurt more than any breakup, a wound that therapy is only beginning to mend. Despite the harassment charges needed for a restraining order, I might drop them. They no longer make sense. She's back in her hometown with her parents, and the real culprit, my ex, is dead. There's no more fighting, and I'm glad, so glad, to lay down that burden. Relief washes over me every time I think it's over, a wave that cleanses the fear and pain. I'm rebuilding myself piece by piece, learning to trust again, to laugh out loud without looking over my shoulder, to meet new people with an open heart. I'm proud of who I'm becoming, even if she's different from the girl I was before. I miss that old me, the one who believed in love without fear. But I'm grateful for the new friend I gained through this, a person with a beautiful soul who became a true friend, a light in the darkness. Thank you for your loving heart, for making me laugh when I thought I'd forgotten how, for helping me improve my English, even if I lean too heavily on translators. I've never met anyone like you, my book Dragon. Reading your story, so similar to mine, made me feel less alone, as if someone out there understood. Thank you for your support, your encouragement, your unwavering kindness. The world needs more people like you, with hearts big enough to hold others' pain. To everyone who wrote to me, shared their experiences, offered advice, or sent photos of their pets, thank you. Your messages, filled with empathy and hope, were a lifeline when I felt like I was drowning. I can't thank Reddit enough for the support and well wishes, for reminding me that I'm not as alone as I sometimes feel. I hope you all have a life full of love, health, and moments of joy that make the hard days bearable. My best wishes are with you. Bless your souls. I've never been good at titles, but I need to get this out, to let the words spill before they consume me. It's easier to write anonymously online, hidden behind a screen, than to vent to those around me who look at me with worry or pity. When I asked for advice, thinking I'd messed up with my sister-like friend, I never imagined it would escalate to this. A betrayal so deep it shook my foundation. I never thought it was driven by jealousy, a twisted envy I can't fully comprehend. I learned my lesson the hard way. Be careful who you trust. Some people will take your trust, crush it underfoot, and then blame you for the mess. In my last update, I said I was better, and everyone believed it, including me, for a fleeting moment. But I wasn't. At 14, I attempted suicide for the first time, grappling with a depression so heavy it felt like drowning in tar. I didn't know how to ask for help, convinced I had to handle my problems alone, that I was strong enough to endure in silence. But I wasn't, and the shame of that failure clung to me. When I felt that darkness creeping back, I was terrified because I knew what it meant, a spiral I might not escape. I didn't want to admit I was down, so I kept pretending I was fine, smiling for my family, joking with friends, going through the motions of a normal life. I forced myself to get out of bed, to go to work, to hold conversations when all I wanted was to disappear. It was so hard, like pushing a boulder uphill, but I did it because the alternative was accepting what happened, and I was afraid of facing that truth. Then I couldn't take it anymore, and the facade crumbled. I'm grateful they found me in time. My cat saved my life, meowing loudly and scratching at my door, alerting my neighbor through the thin walls of my apartment. That small, fierce creature, with her golden eyes and relentless spirit, gave me a second chance. From this, I've had to confront what really happened in that personal hell, the nightmare I'd buried deep. I never thought people could be so cruel, but I was naive, too trusting, too quick to see the good in others. Many asked why I ran away, why my ex tried to kill me, what exactly happened. I trusted his mother with my life, saw her as a second mom, until she confessed she was in love with me. I tried to pull away, to set boundaries, but she justified her actions with her feelings, crying as she touched me, crossing lines I didn't know how to defend. I never imagined a woman could do this to me, could make me feel so violated, but I was too naive, too unprepared for that kind of betrayal. When my ex found out because she told him, claiming I provoked her, he lost control. I had nightmares for months of his rage-filled eyes, burning with disgust, as he strangled me, his hands tightening until the world faded. I don't know when I stopped fighting, I just passed out, my body giving up before my spirit did. When I woke up, bruised and broken, I could no longer rationalize the situation, could no longer pretend it was my fault or that I could fix it. I grabbed my bag, still in pajamas, and ran, my heart pounding with a single word, home. I took the first train to my city, ignoring the stares of strangers who must have wondered about the disheveled girl with wild eyes. I called my mom when I reached the station, my voice trembling. I'll never forget her face when she saw the bruises on my neck, the way she cried, her arms wrapping around me like a shield. Putting her through that was a guilt I still carry. A weight therapy is helping me set down. We told everyone I came for a vacation and stayed because I found a job, a lie to protect me from questions I wasn't ready to answer. I couldn't admit the full extent of what happened, even to my mom, who deserved the truth but got only fragments. I started therapy but couldn't fully open up, too afraid of what I'd find if I looked too closely at the pain. I forced myself to act like my old self, the bubbly, independent girl everyone knew, so people, especially my mom, would stop worrying, stop blaming themselves for not seeing my suffering. Things in my mind worsened, a storm brewing beneath the surface, but I hid it, burying the pain until it exploded. As much as I wanted to be the person I was at 19, carefree, hopeful, unbroken, I couldn't. Chasing that version of myself made me feel worse because she was gone, lost to the trauma I hadn't yet faced. I stopped enjoying what made me happy, drawing, music, the simple joy of a sunny day. I closed myself off, built walls around my heart, and let life pass by, a spectator in my own story. I'm still figuring out who I am, but the first step was accepting what happened. I was mistreated, beaten, raped, abused, betrayed, and blamed for it all. A litany of horrors that took over a year and a suicide attempt to acknowledge. But reality is inescapable, a truth that demands to be seen. Waking up in the hospital, surrounded by beeping machines and concerned faces, I realized I didn't want to die. I feared what my family would think, that they'd see me as weak or broken. But they gave me love, support, and understanding, their anger directed at those who hurt me, not at me. The relief of finally sharing everything was like a boulder rolling off my back, leaving me lighter, freer. My therapists, new and old, are doing an incredible job, guiding me through the wreckage with patience and wisdom. I'm eternally grateful for their support, for helping me find words for the unspeakable. Yesterday, they called me since we didn't have a session. It was my first day out of the hospital, a tentative step back into the world. I'll return tonight, but it's been fun, a glimpse of the life I'm fighting for. I had burritos for dinner, the kind with extra guacamole that makes everything better. At 3 a.m, I snuck out with friends for a McFlurry, giggling like kids as we tiptoed through the dark. Today I'm shopping for my room at my mom's house, picking out emerald green sheets that feel like a promise of new beginnings. I've hugged my cat nonstop, burying my face in her soft fur, her purring a reminder that I'm home, I'm safe. I missed her so much, my little guardian who never gave up on me. I didn't plan to post again, thinking my last update was enough, but things changed. I'm healing, slowly, imperfectly, but healing nonetheless. The person I'm becoming is less bright than the girl I was, less naive, more suspicious of others' intentions, but still me, still capable of hope. In the hospital, I met people with stories as heavy as mine, yet their hearts remained gold, shining through the cracks of their pain. 4 nights ago, my roommates and I snuck onto the roof, a reckless adventure under the stars. We got caught and punished, but we laughed, our voices echoing as we gazed at the moon, a silver beacon in the night. Those moments, small and fleeting, remind me that joy is still possible, that I can find it again. I'm enjoying the little things, drawing with enthusiasm, my pencil dancing across the page, savoring meals, each bite a celebration of being alive, sleeping without many nightmares or the need for pills, a peace I hadn't known in years. Things aren't perfect, but they're on track, moving towards something better. I know this post will reach my friends, and some will ask why I kept quiet, why I carried this alone. That's okay. I'm no longer ashamed because it wasn't my fault, even if I sometimes feel the old guilt creeping in. I'm forgiving myself, looking forward and growing stronger, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. It's not as romantic as it sounds. It takes time, tears, days where I regress, moments of sheer despair when the feelings overwhelm me. But it's okay, and I'll be fine because I always am, because I choose to be. If this helps anyone, as writing and talking about it helps me, I'm glad. This is just to say it's okay to not be okay, to feel the weight and still keep going. I'm not okay, not fully, but I will be. Life doesn't stop, and that can be the worst, needing a break from living and knowing you won't get it, the world spinning on while you're stuck. But everything gets better eventually, even if it's slow, even if it hurts. I have hope in the healing process, in my effort, in the fight I refuse to abandon. I don't know when I went from living to surviving, but I want to live again, to feel the world in color, not shades of gray. My therapist says wanting is the first step, a spark that can grow into a flame. I pray that one day I can look back without the memory causing me pain, but for now, it's one step at a time, one day at a time. Thank you again for the messages, the encouragement, the beautiful people here who've shown me kindness when I needed it most. I've appreciated every response, every word filled with love and good intentions, like stars in a night sky I'd forgotten how to see. I'm off for coffee, a small ritual to ground me, before shopping for those emerald green sheets, a color that feels like growth, like life. My stepdad ordered a huge bookcase for my books, a gift that says he believes in my future, and he's putting it together with the quiet pride of a father. My brother is making space in his room for a puff so we can play Minecraft together, our laughter filling the house. My family, small, sometimes dysfunctional, full of bad moments but also boundless love, is mine, and I hope to cherish them for years, to make up for the time I lost to fear. Thanks for everything, for reading, for caring. I hope life is good to you, that your good intentions are returned with kind deeds, that you find light even in your darkest days. Thank you.